My ex came back after ruining my life. The message came at 2:17 in the morning. I need to see you. Please. It's important. I stared at the name glowing on my phone until the letters blurred. Adrian. My ex. The man who had destroyed my career, emptied our joint savings account, turned my friends against me, and disappeared with the woman he had repeatedly described as just a coworker. For 3 years, I had imagined what I would do if he ever came back. Sometimes I pictured myself screaming at him. Sometimes I imagined laughing in his face and slamming the door. But when the moment finally arrived, I felt nothing. No anger. No heartbreak. Only cold curiosity. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another message appeared. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but I'm in serious trouble. That almost made me laugh. Adrian had always believed trouble was something that happened to other people. He could lie, manipulate, and betray anyone, then somehow convince himself that he was the victim. 3 years earlier, I had loved him more than I loved myself. We met when I was 27 and working at a small marketing company. He was charming without appearing to try. He remembered tiny details and made them feel important. On our second date, he brought me the exact chocolate bar I had casually mentioned loving as a child. On our 6th date, he told me he had never felt truly understood until he met me. Within a year, we were living together. Within 2 years, we were engaged. I believed I had found my future. Then my mother got sick. Her treatment was expensive, so I began taking extra projects at work. I slept 4 hours a night and spent my weekends driving her to medical appointments. Adrian promised he understood. He cooked dinner, rubbed my shoulders, and constantly reminded me that we were a team. At least, that was what he said. The first sign that something was wrong came when my boss called me into his office and asked whether everything was okay at home. I told him I was tired but managing. He looked uncomfortable before turning his computer screen toward me. Anonymous messages had been sent to several coworkers and clients. The messages claimed I was stealing customers, falsifying reports, and secretly applying for positions with our competitors. None of it was true. However, the messages contained private details that only someone close to me could have known. I was immediately suspended while the company investigated. That night, I cried in Adrian's arms. He held me tightly, called the anonymous sender evil, and promised we would discover who was responsible. 2 weeks later, I was fired. The company admitted it could not prove the accusations, but management claimed the damage to my professional relationships was too serious. My reputation collapsed overnight. Clients stopped returning my calls. Former coworkers avoided me. Friends began questioning whether the accusations contained some truth. I still didn't suspect Adrian. Not until I discovered that our savings account was empty. $38,000. Gone. I called Adrian repeatedly, but his phone went directly to voicemail. His clothes were missing from our bedroom. So were his passport and laptop. On the kitchen counter, he had left a short note. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way. That same evening, his coworker Lena posted a picture from an airport lounge. Adrian was sitting beside her, smiling, with his arm wrapped around her waist. The caption read, "New beginnings." I felt my entire life collapse inside my chest. The truth emerged piece by piece. Adrian and Lena had been having an affair for nearly a year. Adrian wanted to leave me, but he was afraid I would demand my share of our savings. So he created chaos first. He used private information from my laptop to send the anonymous accusations. He knew that if I lost my job, I would be too overwhelmed to notice the financial transfers until he was safely gone. He didn't simply leave me. He carefully designed my destruction. My mother died 4 months later. I spent her final weeks pretending I was stronger than I felt. I smiled beside her hospital bed while debt collectors called my phone. I told her everything would be fine because I didn't want her final days filled with worry about me. After her funeral, I returned to my empty apartment and realized I had no job, no savings, no fiancé, and almost no one left who believed me. That was the lowest moment of my life. But it was also the moment I changed. I sold the engagement ring, moved into a tiny studio apartment. It took years. I worked during the day and studied at night. Eventually, I created my own marketing agency. I hired 2 employees, then 5, then 12. By the time Adrian sent that message, my company had clients in 3 countries. I owned a comfortable home. I had loyal friends. Most importantly, I finally had peace. So when Adrian said he was in trouble, I left his message unanswered. The next morning, he appeared outside my office. He looked nothing like the man I remembered. His expensive confidence was gone. His hair was thinner, his shirt was wrinkled, and dark circles surrounded his eyes. My assistant asked whether she should call security. I almost said yes. Instead, I invited him into the conference room. He sat across from me and stared at the polished table. "You look good," he said quietly. "You look desperate," I replied. He flinched. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he began telling me his story. Lena had left him 6 months after they moved abroad. She had taken most of the stolen money and accused him of fraud at the company where they worked. He lost his job, his visa, and nearly everything he owned. I listened without interrupting. The irony was so perfect that it almost felt scripted. Then he revealed the real reason he had come. He was being sued by a former business partner. Important financial records were missing, and Adrian believed Lena still had them. He needed money for a lawyer. "How much?" I asked. $15,000. I leaned back in my chair. He looked hopeful, and that hope made me understand something. He had not returned because he was sorry. He had returned because he still believed I was the woman who would rescue him. "I'll pay you back," he said quickly. "I swear. You already owe me $38,000. His face turned red. "I know." "No, Adrian. You know the number. You don't know what it cost me." I told him about losing my career. I told him about sitting beside my dying mother while debt collectors called. I told him about selling her jewelry to pay my rent. I told him how I had spent months waking from nightmares because I believed everyone I trusted was secretly planning to hurt me. Tears filled his eyes. "I was selfish," he whispered. "You were cruel. I loved you." "No. You loved being loved by me." He began crying. Years earlier, seeing his tears would have broken me. I would have softened my voice, moved closer, and tried to comfort him. This time, I remained where I was. "I came back because I realized you were the best thing that ever happened to me," he said. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "You didn't return because you suddenly realized my value," I said. "You returned because all your other options disappeared." He covered his face with his hands. Then he asked the question I had been expecting. "Is there any chance we could start over?" I looked through the glass wall at my employees working outside. These were people who trusted me. Their salaries depended on the business I had built from the ruins Adrian left behind. "No," I said. "But I can give you something more useful than money." He looked up. I slid a folder across the table. Inside were copies of the transfers he had made from our account, evidence connecting his device to the anonymous messages, and conversations between him and Lena that a mutual friend had sent me. His face went pale. "What is this?" "Evidence." He stared at me in silence. "When I rebuilt my life, I also built a case against you. I never filed it because I wanted peace more than revenge. But now you've walked into my office asking for $15,000 while still owing me everything you stole." His hands began trembling. "Are you threatening me?" No. I'm offering you a choice. I told him he could sign a legal agreement and return the stolen money in monthly installments. In exchange, I would not pursue additional damages. And if I refuse, he asked. My lawyer files the case tomorrow. For the first time since entering the room, Adrian understood that I was no longer powerless. He signed. Over the next 2 years, the payments arrived every month. Some were late, but they arrived. I never spoke to him again. My lawyer handled everything. The final payment came on the anniversary of my mother's death. I stared at the notification for a long time. Then I transferred the money into a scholarship fund created in my mother's name. It would support women rebuilding their careers after personal crises. That evening, I visited her grave. I got it back, I whispered. But standing there, I realized the money was not what I had recovered. I had recovered my voice. My dignity. My ability to trust myself. Adrian had ruined the life I once planned, but he had not ruined me. The woman he abandoned was gone, and I did not miss her. She had loved blindly, forgiven too easily, and believed survival meant waiting for someone else to rescue her. The woman I became had rescued herself. People often say the best revenge is success. I used to believe that meant becoming rich, powerful, or happy enough to make the person who hurt you regret losing you. Now I know better. The best revenge is reaching a place where their regret no longer matters.